Welcome to my peak trans story. I hope you enjoyed that intro. I certainly did. And I started with that song because everybody really does want to rule the world. You know? Everyone wants their by the way, I hope you recognize that song. It really annoys me when people don't, I play the whole fucking song and people don't recognize it. Anyway. Everyone wants to rule the world, but not everyone can rule the world. And it's really foolish to think that you can, even if you sort of do, because it's not gonna fucking work. So I just wanted to tell y'all today my peak trans story. A tree, or this plant you see right here, that's Climber with a Y. She's very cool. She loves the camera. And I wasn't gonna move her out of her spot for my peak trans story, because she can be in the video too. So here goes. I don't know how fucking long this shit's gonna be. I feel like it's gonna be really, really long because it's kind of a long story. So, I've had a number of personal experiences with the trans cult, including I had a friend for a number of years who was actually trans, and I've had other friends in more recent years, also for a number of years, but not all of them, who were trans, and there's a lot going on there, okay? There's a whole lot going on there, and a lot of it is having to do, all of it even, is having to do with sexism and people, adhering to these sexist ideals. That's a big part of it. Another big part of it is abuse, okay? That's just a fact, and people like to say that it doesn't have anything to do with abuse. Well, guess what? It fucking does. Get over it. I'm sorry. I am really sorry, honestly, that anyone has been abused. No one on the planet deserves to be abused, especially as a child, but ever. No one ever deserves to be abused, okay? I digress. I get really, really fired up about that because it's serious. Okay, so I was friends with this gal. Okay, she was a gal. She still is a gal. She is a biological female, therefore she is a woman. Starting in high school, in the very beginning of high school, we met. We were friends instantly. I loved her. She loved me. Really, though, I actually did have a crush on her. She was the first girl that I had a real romantic crush on. Because she was just so fly back in freshman English. So I was interested in her. But we became friends. I became friends with her because I was interested in her. But it kind of just was really obvious that we were better friends than we could possibly be lovers. So, but she also wasn't interested in me, I will add. She was not interested in me romantically when I was interested in her romantically. Anyway, she was a great friend. I loved her so much. I still love her, even though she probably doesn't think so. Anyway, we were friends for a long time. Had a lot of fun hangouts in high school. But then in college, I moved. And then, you're just experiencing a lot of changes in college. And, even if you're not in college, just after high school, the transition from, late adolescence to early adulthood there are a lot of changes happening for anyone. Or I hope so, if you haven't been Rapunzeled. But, so we were still friends. We were still really good friends, for a long time. And I visited her, but she was trans, actually. She turned trans, first she was lesbian. First, she was just an out and proud lesbian, and then she went to this alternative school where she met other trans kids, and then she became trans. And I didn't think about it at the time, but I know for a fact that she was influenced by her peers, and I've seen this happening. It's quite a pattern I've noticed happen where someone is just maybe bi or lesbian or gay, and then they get into a group of people who are trans, and then they become trans. So that's something to be mindful of. But anyway, I was friends with this person, and then we were still friends, but, we weren't as good of friends because we lived in completely different parts of the country. We didn't get to see each other a lot. And I had this other friend who was a radical feminist, and she made me into a radical feminist in pretty much one conversation. But prior to that, I was noticing there were gymongous holes within the trans rhetoric. I used to be a trans sympathizer, okay? I used to be in the trans cult, okay? So I know what I'm fucking talking about. I noticed that there were all these discrepancies, in their rhetoric, in their way of thinking, in the way that they just did things and how they acted. and I was starting to get suspicious. Like, I remember right before I became a rad femme, the whole like AFAB shit was getting popular. What the fuck? Okay? And people were also saying like, they were saying like, well, I was never female. I was never male, even though you actually were in fact born female or male. That's a provable fact. That is a biological reality. And when you are born, you don't come out of your mother and say, okay, I'm a male, but actually I'm a female. Or the opposite. That doesn't fucking happen. Period. The end. So I was like, that is ridiculous. And I also noticed that there was a whole lot of goddamn misogyny in that shit. And there still is. Okay? Like most fucking power structures on this planet, that shit is based in misogy and y misogyny. Okay? So if that's a fact, there's gonna be misogyny everywhere and anywhere all of the time. Without exception. And I was also noticing that like all these trans men were popular. Like there's this guy who, I don't know if this band is even still around, there's this fucking band, The Clicks. And the lead singer was this trans man named Lucas Silveira. He was famous. Laverne Cox was famous. And I guess Caitlyn Jenner was a thing, but that was a little bit later. Anyway, I just noticed that all this like creepy shit was happening, and like you couldn't even say I'm a woman and I feel this way because it's sexist to say that you're a woman. All this bullshit. Anyway, my friend asked me some really simple questions. And those questions were, she asked me, she specifically asked me, she was like, well, what is a woman? And I was like, well, it's an adult human female. It's a grown human with a vagina. That is a woman. And I was like, and she was like, and she also reminded me, even though I already fucking knew this the whole time, it was just like, you just like put it on the back burner. You put that shit on the back burner for long enough, honey, it's gonna burn. So it was on the back burner. You cannot become the opposite sex. It's not possible. You can certainly look. You can certainly get surgeries to appear more as the opposite sex. Yes, that's true. Take fake testosterone or estrogen to sound more like the opposite sex. That's true. But you can't actually become the opposite sex. By the way, none of you are passing. Okay, none of you are passing. I know every single time I see a trans person that they're a trans person. And I'm not gonna like go up to someone who's presenting one way and be like, hey, you're actually a woman. Like, I'm not gonna do that. But I know if someone is a woman and they've been on testosterone, and I know if someone is a man and he has been on estrogen. It's very obvious. Like, if y'all can't tell that, you might want to get your vision checked, because that's a very obvious thing that you know about someone upon seeing them. And part of the trans cult, method of thinking, way of thinking, is saying that, oh, you can't tell if someone's trans. You don't know. How would you know that anyone is trans? I know. Literally not met anyone, except maybe a trans person, who couldn't tell, or claimed she couldn't tell. I digress. So I had this friend who was trans. We were still friends, even after I became a radical feminist. After that conversation, I was still friends with her. I definitely pulled back in talking to her, because we were mostly, talking through any kind of phone conversation, text or whatever. And I actually noticed something really interesting when that happened. What I noticed was, if I would initiate contact, she wouldn't respond. If she would initiate contact, she expected me to respond. That's not really a good friendship, everyone. You should be responding to your friends when they message you. You should be responding to your friends when they call you. It should be there should be mutual communication coming, initiation from both parties. Okay? Um, but I noticed that all of a sudden that, I would message her all this shit, all this, like something funny that happened to me or some interesting fact I learned. I'd be like, hey, like blah, blah, blah. And she either would not respond to me at all, or she might respond and say something like, I would be like, oh, this funny thing happened to me. Haha, I saw so-and-so, and then blah, blah, blah. And she'd be like, okay. Not really like a good response. So I just stopped personally contacting her. And this went on for about 2 years, is that I wasn't really reaching out to her. Not because she was trans, that wasn't why, but it was because I just felt like she wasn't reciprocating our relationship. And I still cared for her as a person, and I still do. But, like, it's not okay when, one person is initiating. But she would message me sometimes and expect me to respond to her. And also, like, I was hiding that whole time, that I didn't tell her I was a radical feminist. I was just, like, hiding. And I fucking hate hiding, okay? Life is not hide and seek, everyone. I just felt like I was hiding, and it was horrible. I wanted to like post things, or I even wanted to like talk to her about certain things, but I just felt like I was walking on eggshells with her. So I didn't bring anything up, and I purposely didn't post a lot of things because I knew that it would out me as a red femme and she would be upset. So, and that's not really, I just knew that she would be upset, okay? So I knew eventually that I was going to have to tell her, but I didn't really know how. I had no idea how I was going to go about doing that. But, I felt like it was impending because I just knew I was going to have to tell her eventually. Anyway, that day finally came. By the way, so within 2 years of me becoming a radical feminist, not talking to her, purposely not initiating with her, because I noticed that she had not hardly ever respond to any of my initiated messages or contact. So within those 2 years, she messaged me a couple of times, and I kind of interacted with her, but she mostly just messaged me about times that she was getting misgendered, and I don't know, wanted my validation or something, that she was male. I don't know what it was. But every time that happened, a grand total of 2 times, I was just like, I'm sorry that happened, and I don't know what she was looking for from me, but whatever. Anyway, the last time we talked was on the phone, and it was actually the night before she had her breasts removed. So she had her breasts removed, and I really did still care about her as a person, okay? Because we had a lot of history, and I know that she's a good person deep down. So I really cared about her, and I said when we were on the phone, because I knew she was getting her breasts removed the next day, I was like, I hope it makes you happy. I hope it's everything you ever wanted. Because I did hope that, and I still do. That's complicated, but, that was something she wanted to do, so I was going to respect that. And I don't respect people removing body parts that are on you for a reason and that you don't need removed. But in this specific scenario, I was just trying to respect her decisions, But so yeah, we had a good conversation on the phone, and I said, I hope it's everything you want. I hope you love it. I hope you come out of surgery okay. Like, good luck, because she had to travel to get it done. Anyway, so then we were hardly talking for quite a while after that. And then, because, again, like, I wasn't initiating, and she hardly initiated with me. But then she initiated with me one day, and she asked me if she could stay at my place because she was going to an event in my area. And I said, and I was like, okay, it's gonna have to happen now. I have to tell her now because it's gonna fucking come up if she stays in my apartment, and I would rather have her find somewhere else to stay because I knew that she wasn't gonna take this well. I'd rather have her find somewhere else to stay than stay with me, and then have to run out and find somewhere else to stay and ditch me anyway. Because I'm a transphobic TERF. Anyway, so she was like, can I stay with you? Because I'll be in the area. And I said, I was at work, by the way. I had time to text her quick while at work. And I said, of course you can come over. I would love to have you. And I have plenty of space. You can stay with me. But I just have to let you know that I'm a radical feminist now. And I couldn't respond. I couldn't get into like a giant texting battle because I was at work. And so later I checked my messages, and she had sent me a bunch of messages being like, are you saying you don't believe that trans people are the sex they identify as? Like, blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, well, I mean, yeah, that's what a radical feminist is it's not that, doesn't matter if you believe that you're the opposite sex when you are in fact one biological sex. It's a fact. Doesn't matter if you believe that you're male or you believe that you're female, because you are in fact you're either male or female, the sex you were born with. Duh. Anyway, she sent me all these messages, and then I could finally text her once I was off work, and I was like, and she went and messaged a mutual friend of ours when this mutual friend didn't have anything to do with the conversation, but she went and messaged a mutual friend of ours about what she and I were talking about, which was, I don't know why you would do that, but whatever. So I could tell she was really upset, and I was like, look, can we talk about this on the phone? Because I don't think we're going to get anywhere texting. And she was like, and I also said, before I asked if we could talk on the phone, I said, just because I don't see you as a biological male, which you're not, which she's not, doesn't mean I don't love you and I don't care about you. And I do love you and I care about you, and that's why I'm saying you can come stay with me. And she was like, and then I asked her if we could talk on the phone because we weren't getting anywhere. I knew we weren't getting anywhere over text. So she was like, and then of course she was like, no, as we cannot talk on the phone. As long as you say that trans people aren't who we say we are, we cannot be friends. And I was like, okay. Because I knew she was going to react that way. I knew it. I knew I was going to lose her as a friend, and that's why it took me so long to tell her that, because I didn't want to lose her as a friend, because I did care about her. But so then our mutual friend texted me and said, are you seriously not letting so-and-so stay with you because he identifies as male? And I said, okay, I didn't say that. And if our friend told you that, she made it up. So no, that didn't happen. And then this friend, the mutual friend who had texted me, went on this like long thing about how it was her duty to defend our trans friend because he is her only trans friend. It's her duty, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, look, this is between me and this other friend. So can you like kindly fuck off? Because you're not part of this. She wasn't a part of this. She was just dragged into it. And she was like, whatever makes you sleep at night, Leah. And then, I don't know, but she was upset about something that this other friend, about this shit that my friend and I were going through. Anyway, so then we weren't friends, And that's the thing about the trans cult, is that, like, it's a cult. The trans cult is a cult. It's a cult, okay? CULT. It's a motherfucking cult. There's this, I forgot the guy who made it, but there's this way that you determine whether or not something is a cult. It's called the BITE model: behavior, information, thinking, and emotional control. So trans cult fulfills all of those things. Your behavior, rejecting people who don't agree with transness. Information, they have all their freaking goddamn Tumblr posts are so limited in their information, and they're only pro-trans, they're only positive, they only say good things about trans and never say anything bad about trans. That's why people who do detransition are so demonized within that community, if you can call it that. Thinking, you're only supposed to think in certain ways. You're not supposed to think outside of those ways, and if you do, you get punished. Emotional control. You're supposed to emotionally feel this way or that way, and they control it. They regulate it. Okay? So that was a goddamn fucking cult. And other thing that got me to fucking peak trans, and I reach it again and again and again, because it gets more and more and more and more and more ridiculous as time goes on. But, one thing that, I didn't even finish the story. Okay, so she and I weren't friends, this trans friend of mine, because I reminded her that she's actually a biological female and not a biological male, which that's not an insult, but okay. So we weren't friends, we didn't talk, it was over, and 5 days later, she added me on an app that we both had, and I was like, like, I thought we weren't friends. So all I did was message her. I texted her and I said, why did you add me on this app? Or something like that. I don't remember. And she sent me this really long, really rude, really tantrum text saying how, like, she was so upset that I had messaged her, and she read all my messages again, and they were so manipulative, and that I was such a bad person, and that I was such a bad friend, and how dare I ever message her, da-da-da-da-da. And I was like, well, goddamn. Okay, this is fucked up on every level, and I thought this person was my friend. I would never, ever treat any of my friends that way, and I never have, I will add. I have never treated any of my friends that way. And I never will. I did not treat her that way. I did not treat any of the other friends I fucking lost for being a goddamn radical feminist that way. It didn't happen. Anyway, so, yeah, she sent me this really rude, really horrible, scathing text about how I was such a bad friend. All I said was like, okay, I was just kind of confused because I don't know why you added me on that app when you so badly didn't want to be my friend. God. So moving on. Oh my god, this is so long. I'm sorry, y'all, but enjoy. Okay. So this was happening before this other friend of mine and I broke up. So that friend was FTM, okay? So but then this friend that this happened with was MTF. So I moved to Portland, and I had this like personal tragedy happen not long after I moved here, and I was really upset. Like, I didn't have a lot of friends, but I knew this gal from a gal who was a guy, by the way. I knew this guy pretending to be a gal, who was in some of my classes, and I had his number, but I was calling him her at the time, blah, blah, blah. Like, I'll just call her he. I'll call her she until I decided to start calling her he. Anyway, she seemed like a nice person. We had classes together. She was really friendly towards me. We had a mutual friend, And so, like, I didn't have anyone, when this terrible thing happened to me, I didn't have anyone to talk to. I didn't have anyone to call. Like, I had no one. But I had her number, and I was just like, hey, can you come over? I'm going through a really rough time. Like, can you come over? And she was like, sure. And it was so nice. She came over and she brought me food and she was super cool and we were having a good time and it totally took my mind off of everything I was going through. Like, that was really kind of her to come over, you know? So then I was like, okay, cool. Like, we're friends. Like, I was treating her like I would treat a woman, right? Because that's how To Twins cult works, is you're supposed to treat these people as their preferred sex, da-da-da. So really I needed a woman friend then, but I only had a man pretending to be a woman friend. So we were cool, and she knew I was going through a hard time. She knew what was happening. But so then I tried to hang out with her. She and I hung out one or two other times, and the last time we fucking hung out, which was like not even a month after my personal tragedy, I went to her apartment. And if there is one thing I fucking know when I'm dealing with a man, is if he's trying to fuck me. If he's interested in fucking me. Okay? If he's interested in being with me romantically. I know that every time I'm with a man who wants to do that to me. I know. So I went to her place, and shortly thereafter, one time just to hang out. We were just hanging out. We were making food and chilling, okay? It wasn't meant to be anything beyond that. But so I went to her house, her place, and we were hanging out, and I knew that she was trying to fuck me. He was trying to fuck me. He was trying to be a regular ass man, just the way he looked at me, the way he was flirting with me, all this dumb shit that he was doing. And like, because I'm a woman and this is what I've fucking been trained to do, I just played dumb. Okay? You just play dumb when a guy likes you, but you don't like him in that way. Okay? And I thought that I could play dumb, make it not even play dumb. Okay? Because there were some instances in there where I just didn't respond the way I knew he wanted me to respond. And I thought that I could just make it clear that I wasn't interested in him that way, and then we could just move on and still be friends. Guess again, young Leah. After that time we hung out, he never spoke to me again. Because I didn't respond to his perverted ass fucking advances towards me. He was preying upon me. When I called him and I said, I have a personal tragedy, can you please come over? He was just trying to fuck. That's not a real friend. And that's fucking perverted and disgusting, I will add. I really thought he wanted to be my friend, but he just wanted to fuck me. Anyway, so, those are really my peak trans stories, and I've been rad femme ever since that shit happened to me. And I know for a fact that one of these people is actually still kind of harassing me. Oh my god, I didn't even get to this part. Okay, I was about to end the video, but it's not even over. I knew there was something I was forgetting. So once I became a radical feminist, it was like instant. It was like overnight. I was like, not even really overnight, but it was like really fast, because I was like, okay, the goddamn libfem shit doesn't make any fucking sense, and it's just gibberish that they're spitting out and thinking it's cool. It's Tumblr shit. It's Tumblr shit applied to real life, which doesn't work. It does not work, okay? So they have their goddamn Tumblr fucking circle jerk going on, applied to real life. Doesn't work. And they're just trying to make shit happen that way. And that's totally fucking nonsensical. So once I became a radical feminist, and once I acknowledged the fact that, yeah, men pretending to be women aren't women, I couldn't go back. So I started trying to get all my friends to see where I was coming from. Guess who lost all their friends for saying that shit? Me. I lost all my friends for merely saying trans women are men. You cannot change your sex. A lot of the shit they're doing to women is sexist. Hello? So I lost all my friends. All of my friends ditched me because I'm a filthy turf. Filthy turf. I'm a filthy... I can't even say their goddamn stupid language because it's so fucking stupid. I'm a filthy ass turf who doesn't deserve respect. And you know what? Every time you see the word turf from the fucking trans cult, exchange that with woman. Replace it with woman. And you will see the blatant misogyny there. Okay, so, I talked to my friends. I just talked to my friends about it, and I was like, you know, you can't become a woman. You can't become a man. That's not possible. And the trans cult are doing all these negative things to women that need to stop. Sorry, there are clouds in front of the sun, y'all. Hope you can still see me. Here I am. But I was saying all these things that actually made goddamn sense. And they were like this one dipshit who I used to be friends with. I was saying, like, yeah, you can't become a man if you're a woman, and you can't become a woman if you're a man. And your life experience as a man, then becoming a woman when deciding to put on a dress or deciding to put on makeup, doesn't mean you have the actual experience of being a woman. And this friend of mine was like, Leah! Like, they were talking absolute gibberish, okay? And I was talking fucking sense, but they were, like, losing their minds when I was like, yeah, a man can't get pregnant. That's another fucking thing that I cannot fucking handle from the goddamn trans cult. Calling a woman giving birth because only women can have children, you idiots. Duh, you learned that when you were 2. I guess you forgot. Calling pregnant women pregnant people and calling a woman a mother giving birth a birthing parent, that is erasing womanhood, and that is sexist, and it needs to stop. And I heard that shit and I was like, hell no. But anyway, I pointed that out to all my friends, and they were like, some of them were like, oh, and then they never spoke to me. Lost all my friends for being a rad femme and, you know, talking actual sense. And one of these people, whom I have mentioned, is still harassing me today. She's harassing my shit, and she's making comments, and she even texted me, but I blocked her, and I blocked her, and I blocked her, and I love blocking people, and I will continue to block her ass, because I'm so fucking tired of this shit, and that's how I reached peak trans. If you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comments. As well as that, I guess I'll just say this, because that same friend who's harassing me, is saying that I'm spewing hate speech. I'm not doing any such thing. And I think that trans people should have the right to housing, they should have the right to jobs, education, healthcare, food, just like every single other person on the planet. And maybe I disagree with the fact that you're trans, but I think that you should have those basic human rights. And me saying I disagree with transness is not hate speech. You dumb fucking bitch. Come at me. Anyway, also stop harassing me. Stop. Clearly I don't want to talk to you. I've made it very clear. So another thing, if any of y'all want me to do videos about something, just suggest it in the comments, okay? Thank you for listening to my peak trans story. I'm sure I'll come up with more because I keep reaching peak trans again and again and again. Gosh, I think I can read something really quick. That's from a really cool Instagram account that you should totally follow. Let's hope I can just find this really quick because I read this and I was like, that is on point. Okay, I got it. Hold on. Now let's see if I can get... Okay, so this is a post from Women Only Society. It's an Instagram account. So this guy named Lachlan Stewart says, categorizing me as a cis man because I am not a trans man is equivalent to labeling me as a heathen because I'm not a Christian, an infidel because I'm not Muslim, or goy because I'm not Jewish. You are entitled to your own identity and beliefs. You are not entitled to mine. Here's another good one. So this is mostly anonymous, but I'll say the usernames when I can. I don't want to sound like a conspiracy theorist, but I believe trans activism is backlash against feminism and LGBT people. And then Anonymous says, it absolutely is, and it conveniently tells us the problems of white, heterosexual men are the most important thing and nonsensically puts them at the forefront of women's and gay rights, thus restoring the status quo. Even if many are doing it subconsciously, it seems these types of liberals, I always want to say liberal, these types of liberals are positively gleeful they can finally be as misogynistic and homophobic as they've always felt deep down. Auntie Wanda, actually, that was what Auntie Wanda said. And then Spencer-Shea with 2 Ys said, Anon, it is. It literally emerged when women and LGBT people were getting their voices heard and the public and in the media. Like almost at the exact same time frame. Gender/trans ideology is literally patriarchy adapting to the current lingo to restore order. It's misogynistic, homophobic backlash movement. It's a misogynistic, homophobic backlash movement at its core. Here's one more, last one. This is from @Kaylee Hiyoko. Excluding biologically male people from things they've already excluded from, by definition, like lesbianism and feminism, is not hateful. It's not harmful or dangerous. Not everything is for everyone. Get the fuck over it.